What was the idiotic game you and your stupid friends played growing up? My buddies and I used to turn all the lights out in the basement and throw those giant exercise balls through the pitch blackness in random directions trying to hit each other. The fear, the anticipation, and the sound of the ball whistling through the dark. The game had only downsides and shouldn't have ever been created. Mr. President. One person would put two fingers over their ear like they're talking on comms. Eventually everyone would notice and do it too. When one person is left who hasn't noticed, you yell, "Mr. President. There's a shooter. Get down," and then you all tackle him. We would dump all of our Legos and Hot Wheels toy cars onto the trampoline and jump on it barefoot. The pain was excruciating, but all the toys flying around looked and sounded super cool. If waterboarding a terrorist doesn't get answers, it's nice to have a strong backup torture method. Water balloon fights with the addition of 1 or 2 death missiles that were milk jugs full of water. I read that initially as water balloons full of milk, which would be a different kind of death missile. Capture the flag in the woods with only one pump of the BB gun. One time we thought it was a good idea to throw darts up in the air, through a bunch of trees, friend's backyard, and run away so you don't get hit. That lasted maybe an hour or so until one came down in a friend's shoulder. He lost. Oh man, where to start? I think my personal favorite was a game where you could smack someone in the face if they asked a question that ended in a one-syllable word. I think we got that one from a movie or show. It lasted forever, and we all got clever with how we phrased out questions. And this was in school, so if we were in class and someone asked a bad question, you could call them R and smack them after class. Then there is the classic doorknob. If you burp or fart and someone said doorknob before you called safety, they could punch you in the arm until you touched a doorknob. The beauty of that was very few doors in our school had doorknobs, and we didn't count door handles. Edit. Also, the circle game. Off top of my head. Playing baseball with a basketball and metal bat. Dude, this took me back. We used to play basketball on ripsticks, those skateboards that swiveled. It sounded like a really good idea at first. Smear the queer, literally a football and like 5 to 20 dudes. Whoever has the ball gets wrecked. Holding the ball and dodging people longer is the goal. Suicide, butts up tennis ball and wall game where you and any number of other dudes throw a ball against a wall. If the ball touches you without you catching it, you get the shit kicked out of you until you touch the wall. That's the suicide version of the game. The butts up is a slightly nicer version where instead of everyone just beating you, you go to the wall and face it and someone pegs you with the tennis ball. Smear the queer, literally a football and like 5 to 20 dudes. Whoever has the ball gets wrecked. Holding the ball and dodging people longer is the goal. Good times. Roman candle fight. Roman candle jousting. We were not smart. I should probably be dead. I lived in a dorm where we had dorm Olympics, which included a blinded folded race around the dorm of 2 floors and 4 large hallways. People actually ran full speed while blindfolded. I ran teeth first into a concrete wall. IRA. We used to play a game we called IRA. Basically it was a team vs team game. One team would have a word and each person had a letter. Then the other team had to chase you and beat you until you told them the letter. It sounds pretty brutal now thinking about it. But I only ever remember going to the hospital once. Predator and prey. We would divide up in teams. One would be the predators and the other prey. We would play in the dark to add to the fear, and the prey would run and hide. The predator would search down prey, tackle them to the ground. You have to get them in a pin. Once the prey taps out, they join the predator, and take their shirt off, to show that they are now predators. The last prey standing wins. Many bruises, much blood, lots of fun. Nutball. Exactly what it sounds like. You'd sit on the ground, legs spread with your feet touching the other person's, and lob a tennis ball at each other. Joules. We used to sharpen palm fronds into swords and pretend like we were gladiators. So much blood, it's amazing how sharp you can make wood. Rock fights on a playground with those smooth pebbles instead of sand. You weren't allowed to throw singles, but you could throw handfuls. Makes sense. You can really put some zip on a single. Exactly. None of us really desired broken teeth or whatever, but a handful still felt like weak birdshot. We would pretend to sword fight invisible enemies. We went on hours-long missions to kill enemy bosses in their lairs, which happened to be wherever we ended up after a couple hours of walking around the neighborhood. Pretty sure anyone that saw us thought we were retarded. Walking home from school in the winter, when we got to our street, we would take off our shoes and socks and run through all the snowbanks until we got to our house or until everyone else quit. I think we called it wall. I don't remember the exact rules, but there were a bunch of kids lined up against a wall and someone had to try to hit the wall with a soccer ball. If you kept the ball from hitting the wall, you joined the guy kicking. Super slugs. At a sleepover, we would climb head first into our sleeping bags and then stand up and then try to run into each other. You were more likely to run into a wall or a table though.